Welcome to Uncultured Gays. We may not be experts in culture, but we sure are gays who love to chat about it. I'm your host, Foxy, and today we have some return guests. We've had them individually before, but we're going to have them together today. Two very fabulous artists in drag and in film and art and just anything artistic. We have Ave Rose and Disasterina.
Hello there.
Hello.
Well, welcome back.
Well, we're very excited to be back. You do a good job at your podcast, so we expect nothing but brilliance from you. I
Oh,
hope that
geez,
doesn't
let's
give you
just
too
set
much
the bar
pressure.
high. Well, I think the last time I had you both on, you were in the middle of writing and pulling funds together for which one. So I thought it'd be appropriate to kind of pick up there now that some time has passed. Um, so how do you guys feel how the reception was with which one? Are you, you know, excited with how it came out?
Everybody, they loved it, right?
Yeah, we got the best compliment, which is a lot of people told us that usually when there's a GoFundMe or some kind of campaign for an independent film, people over basically blow it up better than it turns out to be. And
Hmm.
everyone told us like, wow, you guys were really humble. Like that's really, it turned out way better than what you guys let on. And that was like the best compliment because we weren't trying to be humble about it at all. We were just trying to be realistic, so it's nice to see that people were like very blown away, but with the quality and the special effects and the writing, it was
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
the
I got
special effects are fun. Oh,
yeah, I
sorry, go
got
ahead.
the I got the impression that people once they saw it, they're like, "What are you doing? Just doing like this little thing? You should go big. This should be like a
Mhm.
real movie, a 2-hour movie with, all the effects and everything and salaries." But it never happened. But maybe it still might happen one day.
Yeah, that was my going to be my question because the concept is super fun and something I loved about it was the way you wrote the characters felt very organic to who those people are outside. I don't didn't know everyone in the cast super well, but I obviously know Amber St. James pretty well, and I felt like it just felt like watching what would be backstage at a show, and then if
Oh,
some wild crazy stuff happened.
we cast for personality. We don't
Hmm.
write a script and then look for actors to plug in. We get the actors already going, and then we write stuff for them.
And I think we mentioned this in the podcast that when we talked about it before, but we would write things for people, but we would say, hey, feel free to change this if this is not what you were going to say. Like if this is not part of your vernacular, feel free to change the lines. And a lot of them did. So that's probably why it felt so organic and realistic to what, someone would say.
And you had mentioned that people were telling you that they would love to see like a feature length film version of this. So part of me wonders how much of the story do you think would change? Like if you were going to approach this as a full length film, do you think the concept would change or would you just lengthen it out a little bit, add some more characters? How would your approach change?
Well, it would have to change.
Well,
Mhm.
not really. I thought about this. I was thinking that because of the end game, there's really not much that could happen with it the way it is besides the actual battle. But then I
Hmm.
realized, wait a minute, we can do, how a lot of seasons or TV shows that are established, they've already told their story, so they go with a prequel. So we can
Hmm.
actually write,
Mm.
something about that book that they find at the Goodwill or, do a whole thing that's like leads up to this whole scene.
Hmm.
So that's one way we can keep the story as is if we wanted to. Cause yeah, everyone was like, I want to see what happens. And I'm like, well, that's the whole point. Which one? It's like either of them could win. Of course, you're
Hmm.
rooting for the good guy, but but the bad guy is so delicious that it wouldn't be so bad if the bad guy won. So it's kind of funny.
Well, I see there's a great proof of concept. It's like we can do a horror film. Hello, everybody. Give us
Hmm.
like, $1 million and we'll do a full length. We'll do it for less. We'll do it for $250,000. We
No,
could do it.
not a full length film, girl.
I
No?
like that
Half
you
a
came in
million?
first with the million and then said, but if we had to, 250,000.
Well, we could, we're very frugal and everything, but doing something that ambitious just takes it out of you, and then you
Hmm.
have to figure out what the reward is going to be. Is the reward going to be, royalties at the theaters? Not really.
Yeah.
So it has to be something aligned with a network where they're going to show it on the network and they're going to get revenues that way.
Hmm.
So we have to make that sort of connection.
Yeah, I mean, everything we've done, we make sure that all of our actors and the crew are paid well so that they're not just doing us a favor. But then when we do that, we end up not paying ourselves. So it becomes
Hmm.
this labor of love where we're showing off, what we can do and what everyone around us can do. But really, we're just barely making ends meet when we do that kind of thing. So the next one, we would have to make sure that we got paid. So that's why no $250,000 for a full length film, Disasterina.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
You talked a little bit about like wanting to see that reward, and I mean, for you guys, obviously, it's not strictly financial when it comes personally. What are some of the other rewards you're looking for when doing a project to feel fully fulfilled when you close the door on that project?
I think it has to lead to something else.
Hmm.
So, we do a full length feature film. It's wonderful. Everybody loves it. Uh, what next? Is somebody going to
Hmm.
give us an offer to do something else, or is this going to be an island of weirdness that's just never going to be repeated? So it has to be something, there has to be some sort of reward, either in popularity or in funds that will carry us on to another project.
Also, I think for us, for me, and we've talked about this, which is just proving that we are creating a whole world where our community, the LGBTQ community, can show off what they can do as a team. And so, just to prove that the drag performers aren't just song and dance people, to prove that the trans people that aren't just there as like a sexy fetish or psycho killer, and that they just can play real people. Um, just to prove that our community can do more than just be a novelty in a film,
Hmm.
even though our stuff is so crazy that the whole thing can be seen as a novelty, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We don't have a whole world full of quote unquote normal people and then throw in like somebody from our community as like some flavor, you know
Hmm.
and so I think to establish that, hey, look what everyone in our community can do, is such a reward for us, and that people can feel safe, like approaching us and being part of our team and feeling like they're equals, you
I
know.
feel really excited about doing things for other people in that way.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really
Hmm.
see all these people out in the scene, the drag scene and everything, and I'm like, I meet somebody who's like, you have to be in this movie. And I was like, you have to be in this movie. You have to be in this, comedy. And I just have all these ideas and I want to present them to the world because there's not a lot of opportunities for people in that world to appear truly as themselves.
Hmm.
Maybe one or two people, they're going to go into a TV show or whatever, but they're not going to have the same personality. They're not going to be allowed to present themselves the way that they do every day.
Or that they want to,
Yeah, or they want to. So I feel like it's our mission, it's our job. Whenever we do something, we have to include people, show their talents, and show them the way they are because that's what I prefer, for one thing, and that's
Hmm.
what I want to give to the scene.
Yeah, that's something I really noticed about everything you both do between Psychiatrist, which one, and even your interview show, My Drag is Valid, is it just feels like a places that people can you can share your platform that you've built between the two of you over the years, and now you're bringing people along for the ride and letting them showcase what they can do. Because even as I hinted at the beginning, like your characters, you write for the character or the person first, and I think that's super fun too. Because even on Psychiatrist, even though it's this kind of like fantastical out there thing, you can still see the person playing that role in it. And wrote to what they excel at, whether they're a drag artist or not. So I think that's super fun, and I think the fans pick up on it, which is why you both are very loved for the projects you do.
Oh, thank you.
Which kind of brings me to my next thing. You both have a or work together on My Drag Is Valid, which started out as a YouTube series and then got picked up by Out TV, which congratulations, it's very exciting.
Thank you.
Um, what was the wanting of the shift? Was it strictly to try and help reach a larger audience, access to more people to speak with on your show? Um, what was the idea for the shift in network?
I think it was more about getting paid. We LTV is we have such a great relationship with them, and they have been so good to us. And in fact, they have in the past been like, well, what do you got? Well, they don't, because they are a government funded network, they don't
Hmm.
have a lot of money. So they can't give us, they went out on a limb with sadopsychiatrists and by prepaying us for a show like that. But I don't think that's their typical MO. And
Hmm.
so when I realized that, I was like, babe, they're looking for something that's already done. They have the money for something already done. Why don't we just give them something that's already done? Like, we have a whole TV show that's on YouTube, and see what they say. And it was really cool because when Disasterina contacted them, they were like, all right, here you go, let's pay for this. And we were able to not only be paid for work we had already done, but they gave us extra to add some bonus material and bonus episodes to the first season.
And we got to pay the crew, Bow and
Hmm.
Arrow and Yuck Studios. It seems like they were shocked when they got that money.
Yeah.
It took a while. It took a delay for to get the
Yeah,
money.
it's money coming from Canada, so it's always a little bit of it's a whole process.
They have to walk through the mountains and on a
Right.
moose, and they have to go over the mountain pass with the moose. But for me, that series was all about, we got a little bit of money and we're super happy with it, but also it legitimizes it in my eyes
Hmm.
anyway. It's like, oh, we're doing a show on an actual real network. It's not just
Hmm.
YouTube. YouTube is great. You can do whatever you want. You can have this entire world on there, and it feels very much like a network. You can create your own network, but in this sense, I was like, wow, they really do like us so much that they want to do another one of our shows.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's nice to say, watch Out TV and we have this, this, and this on it, as opposed to like two things. So it could be like the go-to hub for everything that our production does. And it's nice because they were the first LGBTQ channel,
Hmm.
So I love that. The pioneers.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it does feel like an appropriate home for what you both do. Um, in doing your interview series, have you both learned anything about your creative processes, or when interviewing people, has anything surprised you about people's backstories or their experiences with drag?
Oh, that's a good question. I have an answer to that for
Well, you
me.
go first.
Well, for me, I realized because Zastarina, don't forget when we do this, we're also trying to make a living as artists doing these, major conventions in between where we
Hmm.
have to make a bunch of art and sell it. And it's so exhausting. And then to have Disasterina say, you know, in between two shows that are in two different states, say, oh, yeah, and we have like, I scheduled us and My Drag is Valid. That used to be so draining on me because I used to be the one to not only direct it, but to film it. So
Hmm.
we'd have to like create a set, and then I would have to work the camera. And I would be so mentally exhausted. I would just be forcing myself to do it. But once we got funds and we were able to just rely on this studio that's super awesome, where they take care of the lighting, take care of the sets, and all I had to do
And the
was like
sound.
roll in and direct, it made me realize how much more I loved the show because all I had to do
Hmm.
was just focus on directing and really not having to work all these technical things. Made me realize this what a joy it was. So it would bring me out of my zombie state, and it was a really
Hmm.
cool thing to experience. It was like a whole nother world to not have to do so much.
I learned that I'm a really good video editor and not a very good host because I sort of got caught up in what people were saying,
Oh
and
yeah.
you were a very good host, right? So, but not
Thank
me.
you.
It's a certain skill that people have, that I don't have. I'm sort of like in the moment, and I can't think into the future and listen at the same time, which is what you have to do as a
Mm,
Well, no,
host.
I think it's the opposite. I think, yeah, exactly. I think what you mean is because I would have to tell her to like have a reaction. And so based
mm,
on the the guest and how their personality was, Disasterina would lose herself in that. And so if of
okay.
course we had a zany personality, Disasterina would be zany, but then we would have somebody who was a little bit more serious, and Disasterina would completely lose herself and just be quiet and just like be introspective and listen. And I'm like, no, you still need to be Disasterina. So even though they
Hmm.
said something serious, without, making them
A
feel,
mockery of it.
without mocking them, you still have to have a really big response to that,
Hmm.
or they just said something crazy. You need to say, go, ooh, 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 to that. And I would have to, actually do a lot of cutaways where I would be like, okay, now you have to do like, go, oh. So we would cut it in because she would just be silent with some of the guests.
I just get mesmerized by
Yeah.
people's stories. I wanted to hear their story, and they were telling me,
Hmm.
but I forget that I'm the focus of the question making, and I need to have that energy up the whole time. So if I didn't have Ave there, it would be much different. It wouldn't be as fun, and
Also, another thing she would do is when she was with somebody she was really comfortable with, like a friend, like somebody we actually hang out with all the time, she would completely lose her disaster in an accent and she would sound like Triops. And so I had this sign language where I would be like, if I raise my hands, remember to sound feminine and remember to sound foreign. So foreign and feminine. Because I'm like, you just sound like a guy from Chicago, dude, babe.
But I could see where that would be so challenging to like, because hosting is a juggling act to begin with, but then having to throw in the juggling of the character of Disasterina, I could see where you could easily get lost, especially if you're super invested to hearing the person talk and then keeping that up. But I never would have guessed that there's so many cuts from just watching it because it does feel somewhat organic. But then I also think about like being the guest. Like I watch some guests and I'm like, I don't know how you're like delivering a serious story with Disasterina's character right there because I would probably just start laughing.
Yeah, and another thing I'd have to remind Disasterina is that once somebody arrived, um, I don't know if you know this, but when you do a reality show, they have something called ICE, and it's
Okay.
basically they would say ICE, which means like don't talk. Like if you're in a room with anybody, you don't talk, and it's because you end up getting out what could be juicy television when the
Mm,
camera's not on. And
mhm.
so would have to do that and be kind of the Miss Meanie of the set because Disaster Inn would be having this grand old time, and then all of a sudden the guest is like revealing all this juicy stuff
and then they have
that,
to repeat it
yeah. And
somehow.
if I'm
Yeah,
like, hey, can you remember that juicy stuff you said? It's not the same. So I'd be
yeah.
like, shh, 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 stop talking. You guys stop talking. And it would just sound like such a jerk. But I'm like, you got to save it for the camera.
She's right,
Oh my
100%.
gosh. So I want to talk a little bit about the creative process of you two together. I think I got to talk to you each individually how you feel that way, or when you're tackling something, but how do you guys come together and work on these projects? And is your process somewhat the same from My Drug is Valid, Psychiatrist, and like when you do your films, or is that process different?
I think it's kind of the same in all of them because we have to have a moment where we crunch. We have to
Hmm.
get together and we have to do that script.
Hmm.
I'm a kind of person who I have a different modus operandi when it comes to it. I can sit down and write a few things, come down the next day, write a few things. Ave cannot do that. ADHD
I
much?
have,
She cannot do it. She
I
has to be all at
In what go?
once.
Yeah, I have really bad ADHD and I have something called executive dysfunction to where I cannot do anything ahead of time. And I've tried, and the more I force myself, the more painful it will feel to me. And
Mm,
so
And me.
Disasterina,
And she's like yelling at me.
Disasterina really does not like doing things at the last second. And so she's
hmm.
in between when we have time, like after a show, she's like, we just did a show. I'm going to start writing about this stuff. And my brain is off. I am a zombie. I can't do anything. And so I'll feel bad. Like I'll feel like I'm not pulling my weight. But then, of course, when the day comes or when she's like, well, I have all these notes. Do you even want to look at it? And it's so hard to force. She literally has to force me to look at something. She's like, I'm like, you probably got it. And she's like, please just look at it. And once I sit down and look at it, my brain turns on, and all of a sudden I have all these ideas that I can interject. And
Mm.
something she's worked on for 2 weeks, I can add my part in a couple of hours towards the end. And I feel bad that it's that way, but it's just how we work. Um, and
Yeah,
it's
she'll rip it to shreds. I'll do something for 2 weeks, and I'm like all proud of it and everything. Oh, this is gonna be fun. And Ave comes along, and is like, that's wrong. That's wrong. Don't do it that way. Do it this way. And the infuriating fucking thing is that she's not wrong, because there is something about having
two
two
eyes.
completely different
Hmm.
minds that go into the same thing that is really complementary to the final result. So if it's just me writing, it could be good or it could be bad, but it's just
It's
her
good.
writing, it could be good and bad, but it's really together. There is something, it's like a multiplicity. It gets a million times better if we write together.
The funny thing is that we actually have, there's a way for the audience to witness this exact thing because we have a new project. Do you want to describe it?
Yes, so I was at, well, we were at Monsterpalooza doing our selling
Hmm.
art thing, and it was the last day, it was the last hour. And you know, you have those stupid loopy ideas, like, wouldn't it be funny if? So I had an idea for a horror film.
We were just thinking about how there's so many, and don't get me wrong, I love my B horror films. We talked about that in the last podcast.
Hmm.
But we were just talking about how these movies, some of these movies, even the ones I love, are just such bad fucking movies, but they still have such a huge following where people would get the actors tattooed on them. And we were just, we were talking about how it would be so funny just to come up with our own bad movie. Go on.
Hmm.
Well, and the premise is somebody walks into the wilderness, they squat down to pee, and then something happens where there's like something bites them or like they get a rash or something down in the crotchal area, and then eventually it starts growing, and then it sort of like becomes
A
a
monster.
face
Yeah.
a face down
Mm.
there with teeth and everything. And so that's the premise, and we decided to call it Two-Faced, parenthetically, the crotch that eats people. And stupid idea is one of those things where it's like, oh, wouldn't that be funny if? But then I
Hmm.
thought later, you know what? Would it be even better if it was a making of series? And the reason
Mm.
that would be more interesting is that you can do any of um the prep work, the talking about it even on camera, and that can be part of the content. So the content sort of happens real time.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that can just somersault into so many different kinds of things. We could have like actor auditions. We could do interview with people who are going to be on the show. We could talk to technical people and ask them how they are going to make the monster, and
Yeah, it's
just endless content.
kind of like a mockumentary, but it's not a true mockumentary because mockumentaries are scripted.
Hmm.
So we're not doing anything scripted. Like we're not everything we're doing is real, even though it's still kind of a farce because it's so ridiculous the stuff that we're
Right.
coming up with. And the reason why I'm tying that into our last subject that we just talked about is when Disasterina was coming up with this idea, I was in that same mode where it was towards the end of the show. My brain was shutting down, and I was just like,
Hmm.
I don't want to talk about this right now. Like, you do you. And, for days she was trying to get me to be a part of this. And I was shocked. Within like 3 days after the show, she already had interview with Vander, like that she had recorded, interview with some other producers, and came up with this concept of having she didn't want to write it, so we decided that it would be, what was it?
Oh, well, my idea is to get the crowd involved, crowd sourcing. We don't have to we don't fucking even have to write the script. The whole world does this all for us. So I decided, well, scripts, they have around 100 pages. So wouldn't it be wonderful if we had 100 different writers? So, writers, they sometimes are not good at getting things done. So, but this is only one page. And that way, everything would be really weird and fractured, and we would
Hmm.
have like this hurricane of activity trying to just sew it all together, and it's just endless content.
So once she established all that, um, I realized like I'm like, sure, okay, whatever, whatever. And then once my brain started turning on, I realized and we started getting the script, I realized the only way we work would make this would work is if we rewrote everything that came in so that we can kind of like, and it's funny because she showed us, she came in and was like, I got the first page. And I'm looking at this and I'm just like having this response. And I said, wait a minute, why don't we record this? And so we actually have a real time video of how we work together. And, Disaster Arena having some outrageous idea, me being like, wait a minute.
And vice versa. You have
Yeah,
outrageous
Right.
ideas too.
yeah. And it's just kind of coming together. And it's so funny because, you know, it's been this thing where we'll have almost an argument where, she's just like, what was I thinking? None of this makes sense. And I'm like, wait a minute. It'll make sense if when I go, wait a minute, let's stop talking about this. We got to record this. And so it's kind of cool where people can just watch us, the process of us coming up with these ridiculous ideas.
And I think it is more interesting. We could, get some money together, do a crowdfunding for a terrible horror film. We certainly could do that. We could complete it. It would be terrible and wonderful at the same time. Sure. But if we have this series, to me is more interesting. It's like episodes. It's like
Hmm.
we have seasons and everything. And the progress of the film is captured, and we could actually go back and do like a voiceovers and do recreations, and we could
Hmm.
actually do like a scene from the movie without having to complete the entire movie. We can do behind the scenes of
Yeah.
the scene
As
from
it
the
is, as it
movie.
Out the
is now,
behind, yeah.
we're gonna,
It's getting meta as fuck.
I
yeah,
was
it's
gonna say this is turning very meta.
so much footage. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's just really has turned into like this fractal, and so that's what we're one of the things we're working on right now.
Well, I was gonna say I had that next on my list to talk to you about. So you transitioned perfectly for me. But and when I started watching some of the things of you guys that have been posting about it, I wasn't fully sure what it was. So this is awesome to hear the actual like concept is. But I also think as people who like are super interested in film and TV and even just like small form content creation, it's fun to kind of get a peek behind the curtain of your guys' creative process and how you get to where you're getting. And I think it'll help a lot of people that are aspiring to do what you do, um, you know, give them some inspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, we're both artists, so when people are inspired by what we do, that's a huge deal. That's what we're here
Hmm.
for. I mean, I'm also here to eat delicious desserts, but the main thing really is to inspire others.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that when Disasterina had this insane idea, I just thought I've learned a long time ago, no matter how insane an idea is that she has, to not poo-poo it because
Hmm.
it, as long as I just say, okay, you know what, it's your idea, go for it, go for it. It always ends up being amazing, even if I can't visualize it at the time. And it was interesting because, like I said, during that time after Monster Palooza, where she was 100% going for it, and I still couldn't understand what this whole project was about and how it was even possible. Just hearing her talk to other like screenwriters and the people involved, or she would just tell them this idea and the people got it. Like they got it before
Hmm.
I did, and she would just contact somebody and say, "Oh, I have this idea. I want to write. We want to create this horror film, and we're gonna do 100 pages." And the people would be like, "This is brilliant," and I'm getting like, "Wait a minute, maybe it is brilliant," And I'm a pretty fair person, and so usually, even if I vehemently disagree with something, we always say, "Well, why don't we ask three people?" And if there's two against one, then I'll just go with it.
Hmm.
So
So it's
that's how it
going.
works out.
So we're just accumulating content. And it's one of those things where there's going to be a lot of content. So I'm going to have to go back and edit, and chop things up into understandable episodes. And
Hmm.
then we're going to present it to OutTV, see if they want to hoist it on their channel. And but we're also, it's going to be a mix of stuff. It's going to be stuff on Zoom interviews, and
Hmm.
then we did an audition, which has like a better quality cameras and everything, and then we're going to do setups later once we have like a rough uh, makeup of each episode. We can go back and we can talk about stuff to connect everything together. And
Yeah, I think it just reminds me of like the My Drag is Valid, where we had our episodes in, but once a network picked it up, we were like, let's fine tune this. And
Mm,
she re-edited it and, added more bonus content. And that's what we're gonna do if, oops, that's what we're gonna do if it gets picked up. It's like
okay.
right now we're just gonna do quick edits of what we have so that it could keep its momentum. But if it ever gets picked up, then we'll go back and we'll like either, like she said, we could refilm some things, do reenactments of things that we had, just to have better quality, just tighten things up. So
and we could even like, one thing I envision, which I'm really hoping I can do, is it can, I can pull people into this project who have some tiny bit or a lot bit of fame out there in the universe, to
Mm-hmm.
trick them into being saying something about it, so I can get
Right.
them in the show. So also because the Boulet Brothers Dragula, there's a new show happening, and I'm cast
Hmm.
on Titans. That will generate some notoriety, and those
Uh-huh.
people on the sort of like the periphery of the horror world would be more. It would be more attractive to them to get involved in something that, when I have more fame and fortune,
Right,
not
right.
fortune, but fame, microfame, more microfame.
Yeah, you can kind of renew your audience a little bit, grab some new people onto the Disasterina train.
Here comes the
So I was
cheap
going to
seats.
ask too, like most of your projects, even with my Drag is Valid, which is an interview series, you kind of have a pretty good hand on the steering wheel of what's happening, right? Even with an interview, you're kind of steering the way the conversation is going. But with this project where you're letting people submit pages of writing and you're getting authentic reactions, you're not getting that. Has that been hard to kind of let go a little bit in that creative process? Or are you enjoying getting to sit back and just kind of watch
that.
and then use that to mold?
Oh yeah, that's the best part because it's taking. We realize that sometimes reality is stranger. What did they say? Fiction is stranger than nonfiction, or no, what is it? What's that saying? Reality is stranger than fiction
Mm,
sometimes, and sometimes we can think of something that we think is going to be ridiculous, and then the real life version is way more ridiculous.
mhm.
Like those auditions, man, we would have never. Oh my God, it's
People just went
people
crazy.
went balls to the wall with something that was like a voiceover for a standard commercial, like a ridiculous, like boring commercial that we were going to create, and people were just doing backflips
Oh,
for us.
get this. We held an audition to get to be a talking head actor for a commercial advertising, the being a writer for
Uh-huh.
the horror film, and it was so that we can charge people to be writers. So we're going to get 100 writers,
We
and
were
they have
like,
to pay to be a
pay
writer.
$20 a page.
And so that is just like zany ideas like these, the actors that come, they just make it even zanier because they realize, because I hammer into them, that this is the show. It's like, the horror film may not even be made. This is what right now what we're doing is the show. So you, whatever you do will appear on the show right now. And people just went for their moment. They just
Yeah.
really dove
It
in.
was wild. It was wild and it was fun. So yeah, the latter. I love relinquishing that control and just letting people
Hmm.
do what they're gonna do, and the fact that we respect their time. So, um, I don't know if everything's gonna make it in if it gets picked up, but as far as what we put on YouTube, if you showed up to the audition and you did some crazy shit for us, we're gonna show that. You
Hmm.
know, whether you made whether we pick you for the actual commercial or not, you're gonna get your like 5 minutes of fame. And so,
Hmm.
um, in that regards, I think that it's kind of fun just to showcase everyone who shows up and wants to be a part of it.
And I have to imagine it's going to be on the flip side fun for these writers and these people that are participating to see how you're going to warp
Oh
it
yeah.
into your vision, right? Because they might be doing things thinking you're going to portray it a certain way, and you just tilt it on its head. So I think it's like a nice creative, like double-edged sword for sure.
Because we don't really know what we want. It's all happening
Right.
in real time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Hmm.
people, through their enthusiasm, are going to shape it themselves, and they realize that.
One thing I want to talk about with both of you is what advice would you give young drag artists or queer people that are trying to start dipping their toes in short form content, whether it's horror films or whatever, or just trying to enhance their stage art. What looking back on your careers so far, what are some things you've learned that you wish you knew when you were starting?
That's a really good question.
Well, I think the important thing just really is to have the energy to do it. Don't be afraid to
Yeah.
collaborate.
Mm,
As something, as a, not a disasterina, my boy self, triops are very shy, so reluctant to get together with other people and to do things.
mhm,
But whenever I did, the group enhanced the end result. So I would recommend queer people, they collaborate. Don't do it all yourself because everybody, it's not hard to find people who will want to plug into an idea that you have and
mhm,
have the courage to present the idea to people. And don't worry about the details, just get people involved, and that will create momentum. Um, Also, I think people are stuck with the idea that you have to go to some network or you have to get onto some official this, that, or the other thing to do something. You don't. All you need is a cell phone and a YouTube channel, which is free, right? So you can just put something together and it can be your own thing, and don't be afraid to do it, and you should do it.
Yeah,
Don't wait.
that's what my advice would be is that if you have all these ideas, don't wait. Don't say it's not now's not the time. I'm not ready yet. Oh, it's going to look bad. Um, the only way you're going to like progress or evolve as an artist is if you start now and then you watch what you do and then you can grow from that. So don't afraid for it to look bad. And sometimes some of the earliest stuff that we did that's that seems like amateur is some of the best stuff we've ever done. And there's
Yeah.
something about that raw naive, just going for it and not caring what the world has to say. So my advice would be don't go looking for trends, just go and do what you think is funny. You yourself, what you think is funny, just or fabulous, funny, whatever your flavor is, you just go and you do it. No matter how amateur you feel you are, because just keep doing it. And the more you do it, the more you're going to turn into what you feel satisfied with eventually. But you'll never get there if you, in your mind, wait until you're ready.
You have to practice, you have to learn on the job, right?
mhm.
So that's the best way to learn, is to learn on the job, just to make mistakes, have the courage to make mistakes, and just get it out there. Just don't wait. Get it out there. It's going to be imperfect. There's no such thing as perfectionism. It's a hope, a dream, an illusion.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it and go and do it. Get together with people and have fun.
Yeah, and like I said, with our community, with this community, we are very forgiving and we are very, loving to each other. So if you go out there and you say, "Hey, I'm creating, a lip sync or a song and dance or, an original song, and this is my first time," and you put it out there, no one in our community is going to shoot you down. We're going to
Mhm.
raise you up. In fact, there's this Facebook a group that I'm a part of, and it's basically people who are doing drag for the first time. And they go
Mhm.
on there, and it's anybody, and they just say like, "Hey, this is my first time ever putting makeup on myself," whether it's drag king, drag queen, anything in between. And no matter how unrefined it is, no one goes on there and says you look bad. People
Hmm.
might say, oh, hey, this might be a good tip for your liner, or this, if you don't like too
Hmm.
much shine, they just give you tips, which is the perfect thing. It's like constructive criticism. And so I feel like that actually goes with everything that we do. So literally, don't just conquer your fear and put it out there. And we're going to, as a community, embrace you and just help you to grow.
I love that. That's fabulous advice because I feel like the times I've collaborated is when I've grown the most. So that's awesome advice. You guys do the convention circuit a
Hmm.
lot. What are some of your favorite conventions? I know last time we've talked, it's been Monsterpalooza and conventions like that. Have you guys gone to any new ones in the last couple of years that have really like, wow, we this has to be part of our regular tour?
More and more, we're doing oddities and curiosities expo shows. They
Hmm.
have a traveling, convention. It goes all over the country. Now it's going to different countries, and I think in the United States it's like 30 cities or something like that. So they do such a good job. They get so many people through the turnstiles that it's like, even if it's far away, we'll drive there. We drove to
Hmm.
Chicago, we drove to New Orleans, we drove to Kansas City. We're in LA, so that's a long trek.
Yeah.
It's worth it because they are so organized and they get people there, and
Yeah, we noticed that
it's
it's like these
excellent.
small towns as opposed to the big towns
Mm.
Or
tend
small
to, yeah, the
cities.
small cities, they tend to kind of turn up because it's not something that happens every day. And
Mm.
and they just celebrate the art, and they're ready to spend money. And times are tough. I mean, this is kind of like a really scary and
Hmm.
political environment that we're in. So we're surprised that people still show up and still spend money. Of course, it might not be as much money as it was before because everyone's struggling, but to have people come in and spend whatever they have to spend just to celebrate or show their appreciation for art is such a blessing.
And the scene is like everybody dress up.
Yeah, they get dressed up like
Mm.
They
crazy.
Hmm.
dressed up and they wear their finest freak outfit, and it's awesome. It's really awesome. Highly
As I say,
recommended.
the vibes look fun when I see you guys post on your socials, like the people you get to meet and everything. You were talking about like people's excess spending money and being a little tighter knit. Has that affected how what kind of art you guys bring with you when you go to
Oh
these
God.
conventions? Do you try to bring more cost efficient art versus what you did in the past?
Oh yeah, that's so true. And we kind of keep notes on what cities have what kind of money, and
Mm,
really will, I can't. It's not fair for people for me to have the same items and just be have them for lower at a lower cost and in
right.
another city because that's all people can afford. So what I have to do is I have to make something entirely different that can be at a lower cost. So that I'm not undermining the or devaluing the art that people already bought at a higher cost.
Mm,
And so it is like a tricky game. But we did notice, in fact, we realized that some of the vendors, when we're talking to them about how much money they spend, and sometimes they make way more than us, we realize they have all these bowls of just such like affordable items like $5 to $10, which is like,
mm,
how can we make original art that's like $5 to $10? We really cannot. And so one thing we started doing is we started going through our closets, and a lot of our clothes that we would normally just donate, things we don't fit anymore, or we've collected a ridiculous amount because we do film and television.
hmm.
And sometimes we'll just see something at a thrift store that's like, it's just too ridiculous to pass up.
Yeah.
And but this year has been so tight. We're like, what can we sell? And so we have this clothing rack now that's $5 clothing rack, and it's been popular. And I sometimes feel people are like getting a steal because there'll be like something Disasterina wore on something, but she just doesn't, doesn't like it anymore. And it'll be fucking $5. So that's one way we've been able to kind of like, all right, that's a low cost item, you know.
Hmm.
But you're right. Absolutely right. We have to really figure out like these low cost items and how to make more of them.
But I won't sacrifice quality. Everything, well, really both of us,
Yeah.
everything that we both make is 100% original and unique. So I
Hmm.
do all these little sculptural things, and she does her oddities art, but no two things are alike. There's no like 3D printing. There's
Yeah.
no like
Mm-hmm.
molds of and 7 different versions of the same thing. The prints, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna make every print different,
Right.
but anything sculptural is entirely handmade for
Yeah,
me, for
and
both of
some of
us.
her sculptures, I'm like, sometimes I get mad with the price. I'm like, this is like a fully sculpted demon skull that's $35. But it's like that's
Hmm.
what she figured out is a sellable price. And since she can bust them out, to her, it's worth it. But I'm just like, oh my God, that's like, we have to realize this is like a wholesale price for people. Like people have
Hmm.
to realize what they're buying from us directly is a wholesale price. Like if they saw it at a shop, it would be twice as much. And
Right.
so don't expect to see this if we have a shop or somebody, ends up getting stuff of ours and putting it in their shop. It's going to be twice as much.
And is there any sort of like frustration as an artist downsizing your art? Obviously, you're doing it for good reasons, but is it more frustrating to do these smaller pieces, or do you feel like there's not really a difference between, because to you, it's just about the art and sharing it?
Well, that you just opened up a whole can of worms with me because I always thought of myself as an automaton maker, and that's kind of what
Uh-huh.
people really know me as. But I don't make them anymore. I'm really proud of myself if I make one or two a year, which that used to be. I used to make like 10 a year.
Mm,
Um, and it's because I can't really charge what they're worth. So it's me would just be making something just to impress somebody,
right.
because even when I have them at galleries anymore, they don't sell. And so because nobody has that kind of money. I'm still trying to get myself to try to make like small automatons that would be a fraction of the cost. But still, like if you went into the automaton world, even a small automaton should be at least $1,000. But
Hmm.
nobody, if I took that to small automaton and I took that to one of our traveling shows, that would just be an outrageous amount for anyone. And
Right.
so I have to just decide on making something that's not as detailed, just something that's super simple and that just moves. But then I run the risk of basically making a toy, and it's not as respected. And I don't want to just make
Mm,
like a $200 or $300 toy. I'm not a
right.
toy maker. I'm an art maker, and so that's the thing that breaks my heart because it gives me really bad um, imposter syndrome. You know,
Mm,
and in fact, we in 2024 we did Automaton Con, and I was shocked that they put me on. Wait, did we talk about this when I?
no.
Okay,
No.
yeah, I was shocked as they put me on a panel with these master automaton makers, and this guy's name is John Gunn. He's like the god of automaton making, and he creates all the automaton gags for famous magicians. And
Wow.
so I was on a panel with him, and I just felt like the biggest imposter because I was sitting there thinking like, when's the last time I really made a true automaton? And it was cool though, because after the talk, so many people came up to me and they were like, "We can tell that you feel a little bit like you're not as good as these other guys up there, but trust me, you hold your own. What you do is super different." And it doesn't matter when you make your automatons, it's whatever you've made is fabulous and don't feel bad about it. But just like what you said, I do feel bad that I have to decide like instead of making one big automaton that is going to blow people's mind, I have to make a bunch of oddities that I know
Yeah.
will sell because I don't
Hmm.
have all the time in the world anymore. So but that does bring us to something that you might not know. We are opening up a shop, a brick
Like a
and
brick
mortar
and
shop.
mortar? Yeah, that's so
Yes.
exciting.
Yes, and it's going to be in a town called San Pedro. It's right next to Long Beach, on
Okay.
this port, and it's cool because it's right across where all the major cruises dock.
Hmm.
And for that's what's going to really kind of push me to make my automatons because at least like I know it'll showcase my work and it will be
Yeah.
there. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. It's currently actually like public. We do have a spot and it's public, but it's just not for us ready for a grand opening.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's at this thing called Wunderkammer, and it's similar to maybe like an antique mall, but it's just like every person there is an artist and they can trick out their store to make it look whatever way they want. And we,
Yeah, it's not like little stalls, it's actually like little
yes,
stores.
like little stores.
Okay.
And but with the craziest art, and people deck out their stores like insane.
Yeah, and we've started to decorate, and it's going good, and we
What's our
just
store called?
it's called not the just Blissful Bestiary.
I
Bestiary.
love that. Oh, that's
Blissful
fun.
Bestiary.
I like to say beast.
Yeah, but that's not how you say it. That's not the proper way to say it. It's
You
bestiary.
talking to me
You
about how to properly pronounce something? I don't think that's gonna
it
work.
it would make sense to be bestiary because it's basically a collection of fantastical beasts. That's what a bestiary is. But it's
It's a
bestiary.
bestiary.
It's
I
not.
say
It's not
bestiary.
how you say it though.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Anyway.
Her correcting your words is getting revenge on you messing up her wigs. So
True.
Yeah, and destroying my lipsticks.
I resemble that remark.
oh, but that's so exciting though, because now you can kind of get a good best of both worlds. You can build your art that makes you really happy, but then also meet your consumer base that wants to support you guys, but maybe doesn't have the financial means to buy some of your bigger artwork. So that's super awesome. You'll have to
Thank
let me
you.
know when it opens because I'm in Long Beach once or twice a month. So it
Oh,
would
Okay.
be
that is
easy to
so
get there.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm excited to see that.
one reason why it was so important for us is because it's interesting at the beginning of 2000 or 2025 we were talking about like what would be the best thing for us, like what would we, of course, if somebody just gave us a bunch of money to like create a film, that would be great, but it wouldn't really be a game changer because we've already done that. But what would be a game changer for us, and we realized having a brick and mortar somehow magically would be a game changer because we were getting so exhausted from traveling so much. Like we love it, but it leaves very little for us to do anything in between. In fact, you know, LTV was interested in a season 3 of My Drag is Valid, and we had to say
Mm,
no. And it was
For
because,
now. For now.
for now,
yeah.
but we had to say no for being in the process of creating it because we literally had, that was all of our empty time. Like in between every show,
Mm,
we worked on My Drag is Valid, and we had no time for
yeah.
anything else in between. And we just couldn't afford to do that again. So, it's going to be a lot more work in the beginning, but once it's already established, we hope that having a more steady income for local people or people who could just go there, because the people who are running it are their dream. The what it's costing us, like basically per item, is less than what I get charged for having a Shopify. So if I
Okay.
sold, because we don't have to be there all the time, and so if I
Hmm.
sold something there and they basically sold it for us, what they take out of it is less than what it costs me to like, in fees from Shopify and like shipping it out. So it's totally worth it.
It's a nice alternative.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think there's something nice about like having that tangible, like in-person experience with art versus looking at it on like an app or like a web page. Right? I feel like it loses something when you're looking at an art piece that way versus seeing it in real time in person.
Yeah, that's so true. Also, I have this really bad habit of I think we both do, where we have something that we think is amazing that we made, and it doesn't seem like anyone is that interested in it, and the longer we have it, the more we start having doubts about it for each show. Like, and the more it seems like we bring it to a show and nobody's interested, the more we're like tempted to like lower the cost because we feel like nobody wants this thing. And I feel like having a brick and mortar shop would be like, because I feel like if enough people see something when we take it to these shows, like I don't want them to see, I don't want to bring the same item that was somebody has seen already and bring it back and have it be at a lower
Hmm.
cost. Like
Yeah.
there's just something about that that feels really degrading. So I love
Hmm.
the fact that I can be like, well, if nobody at these shows, these particular people in these towns don't like it, then this is going into the main shop. And it doesn't matter if it sells or not because it's cool and it's just something for somebody to look at. I love that idea.
I love it. Well, congratulations. You guys have some
Thank
like
you.
awesome stuff coming up.
Hmm.
Um, I do want to talk just really quickly, if you don't mind, about Titans. It was announced, and this is coming out after Titans. I was so excited to see you were on it. I've been missing you on TV. So, what made you decide to go back?
Well, Um, I think maybe the main thing was that I had so much fun on season
Hmm.
two. It was so exciting, and it was just I loved every minute of it. So I'm like, wow, I'd really like to kind of try to chase that feeling, see if I can get it again. So that was my main thinking. Um, I knew that, it would be very difficult to do because we're always on the bottom as far as like with the money situation. We're always just
Hmm.
skirting along. It's like, and then we have to stop what we're doing and then do this project and then somehow still stay in our house and not get kicked out.
Right.
So we actually had some help from friends and family to do it, and we the same thing happened in season two. Was like I had shows like convention and stuff
Right.
scheduled, so I had to do all those conventions and then come back at the last minute and then try to put something together for season two, and it worked out pretty well. It was a much different format, and back in that time, you could every film day was on the weekend, so that time in
Hmm.
between, I could make all my outfits. So I
Right.
didn't have any outfits done. I think I had one outfit
Wait,
done
wait, wait. I don't
for
think that
season
part. I
two.
don't think that we're
Hmm?
allowed to have it. You might have to cut this out.
No, 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 because that was
Okay.
season two.
Okay.
So
Okay. I was gonna
I
say, yeah,
still
if
think
anything needs chopped, let me know.
Titans, I cannot say anything
I
about
figured.
it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm not in on a contract to say anything about
season two.
season two. I can say whatever I want about
I
season
know, but I
two.
still think they try to make it seem like the people make the outfits on the show, even in season two.
I can't say anything about that.
Okay. Anyway,
Now she's gonna
moving
be all
on. I was
about.
kidding.
I can't say that. I can't talk about that. Anytime it's something they don't want to say.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
understandably they have to be very strict about what you can say.
right.
So I can't
Absolutely.
say much about Titans other than I'm excited for people to see it. Really, that's about
Yeah.
it.
I
And you
think
had
it's
fun.
exciting
I
to
had
see where
fun.
you're at, and like we've already touched on it, but it'll be such a great way for people to get like re-excited about the work you do outside of Dragula. You're not just a stage performer artist. You make a lot of content, so it'll be great to like pull people into that.
And that's what happened after season two. It's like I did all these videos associated with what I was doing on Dracula, and those are the still the most popular videos I have on my YouTube channel.
Mm.
And I expect that that will probably be the case going forward. I intend to do a lot of content, and I'm excited about people seeing that.
And it's just really cool seeing, like, going into Reddit and the Facebook pages to see how people are super excited and rooting for
Mhm.
Disasterina and they remember her. And so that's just like a warm feeling and just makes us very happy.
Yeah, they're really more excited about me than almost everybody else. In fact, I am really the one that people want to see the most.
The real
I'm not
star.
I'm not surprised. I am the real star of the whole season. Spoiler
Yes,
alert.
and I'm not surprised. Wait, are you allowed to say that?
Too late. It's out there.
Ave, what was it like for you when they got the call? Like, and while they were filming, like, was it stressful for you? Were you just excited to see your partner like get another opportunity to show their face? Because I think a lot of people talk directly to the contestant about their feelings and their experiences, but we very rarely get to hear about the person that gets left at home while they go have this experience.
I was just super excited because we know how this game goes, and we know that sometimes it's, like they say, art as a drag as an art form is subjective. And so what
Mhm.
we think could be the best look that anyone has ever made, the judges might not like. And
Mhm.
so we knew going in that Disasterina knew going in is not to get too caught up in trying to show the judges that they don't understand the look. Like
Mhm.
if they didn't get it, they didn't get it, but you still did what you wanted to do. And so I was just like hoping that Disasterina is nothing phases her. But Triops, on the
Mhm.
other hand, is a very sensitive man. And so having him be exposed, um, is a whole different story. And so the whole time I was really worried that Disasterina, of course, will survive, but would Triops be able to take these, you know, take any constructive criticism that they didn't appreciate? And, I was super worried about that the whole
Because
time.
Triops usually flies into a rage. And that's not, that's for Disasterina, that's comedy. But for Triops, that is awful. I mean, that I'm not even joking. So
Yeah.
the optics of that was the main thing I was most afraid of. It's like, you know, if Triops is released, um, that might not be good
Hmm.
for Triops and for Disasterina.
Yeah, and Triops legitimately has panic disorder. And
Hmm.
so he's been able to overcome that with so many things that he's taught himself, from meditation to breathing exercises. But I was so worried that his panic disorder would just come up in the show, and he
Yeah.
would shut himself in, not respond, or I didn't know what was going to happen. And so the whole time I was at the edge of my seat, just worried about what was going to happen. But it had nothing to do with what he was going to produce on the show, because I just had faith that whatever was he was going to produce on the show, based on the challenges, whatever challenges they were going to give him, I knew he would kill it in his own way, because
Hmm.
Disasterina is a true fucking artist. And so I
Yep.
wasn't worried about that part. I was worried about the emotional impact. And so yeah, I could not sleep or get anything done. I was kind of like trying to amp myself, like, okay, great, I'm gonna have a whole month to myself and like get all this shit done while she's gone. And I literally got nothing done. I was just, like, at the edge of my seat. So what's interesting though, what about the getting of the call was, it was um it was right around the time where I was deciding on whether or not I would try out for um,
King of
the
Drag.
King of Drag.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
And so we were deciding, it was like right around the time where we just had the craziest back to back schedule, where we were like in a different state every weekend for this 1 month. And we were like, and then all of a sudden it was just like, oh, King of Drag would like accepting audition tapes now. And I was just like, oh my God, this would be great. And I was
Hmm.
kind of torn, because I'm like, oh, do I really want to be on a first season of something? That's always kind of tough.
Yeah.
But you hope that it comes into a second season. But then you're like, what if it doesn't come into a second season? It's your one
Right.
chance. You're kind of like torn. And then that's when they started getting these preliminary like calls, just like checking in to see if they would be available. And we're like, oh, okay, that's a good thing I
Hmm.
didn't audition, because there's no way that I could have done both.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's always season two. I was gonna say
season
because it
two,
just got
Stacey
approved. So,
Manzini.
Mm.
well, that's very exciting. Well, thank you two again for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate the support and time you give myself and this platform. It's always fun talking with you both.
Oh, we love you.
You do a really fucking great
Yeah,
job. Like I said, you're a
Thank
great
you.
yeah.
host. You really
Thank
know
you.
your business.
Is there any final things you guys want to plug?
Um, I think just generally, I think that this season is so much bigger in scope than what I did in the past that I'm not
Mhm.
going to be able to keep up with people's inquiries. So
Yeah.
people, on season two, I was so uh, I was, so excited. Not that I'm not excited about this, but I was like so invigorated that I was like responding to everybody that
Mm,
did any comment on any of my social media. I was like up 23 hours a day, like responding to
Yeah,
everybody.
she was a little bit too available to her fans, and
yeah.
had a very good track record of being very responsive to people who would contact her on Instagram and whatever. And now it's like,
I just don't.
please, people, do
Oh,
not get
yeah.
offended. She cannot
Yeah.
respond anymore the way she used to. And if she does happen to respond to you, she might not be able to keep up that conversation. And also,
Hmm.
don't take this offense. Like, if your friend happens to get a response from Disasterina and then you don't take it personally. It's just like the weird luck of the draw, and she
Yep.
can't respond to everybody, and she has a lot on her plate.
That's true, and I think what I would say is just the thing that I like to do the most is all the YouTube content. So if you really want to connect with me, I would really appreciate it if you go over there and comment. But if you comment on some post on Instagram, I might not see it even. I'm so busy because it's not just the show stuff that we're doing. It's like we have our own store now, and that we're going
Mm-hmm.
out almost every other weekend to some convention, and that just takes a few
You could
days.
burn yourself out just from social media.
Yeah, and also social media is very, very, very unhealthy. People
Yeah,
should
so
not
draining
be on social media
all the
too
time.
much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's made for doom scrolling. It's made for
Mm-hmm.
misinformation. It's made to funnel people into certain camps and isolate people. And it's there to sell shit to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a healthy environment. Social media is about sales. It's not about community, although you can find community
I
there.
find a lot of good communities on there, but yeah,
The
in the
main reason
majority,
for
yeah.
it to exist is to make money.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have one thing that we're excited to have at our shop is we're gonna have a full cutout of Disasterina, so that people can take a photo with it, and we're gonna have it we're gonna have the photo so that she has like a little bucket for donations,
Oh, I love that.
so that people can kind of like donate to when they get a picture with the cardboard cutout. But yeah.
Wigs, lipstick,
Yeah, totally.
money.
We're excited about this because when she was on season two, just real quick, I didn't mean to extend it, but when she was on
Oh no, you're
season
good.
two, we were making a lot of money by doing these like meet and greets. And it
Mm-hmm.
had to be organized by somebody else, and it was it was this whole thing. But now it's like, wait a minute, we don't have to organize these meet and greets because we're already going to be at these events. So people
Mm-hmm.
don't have to pay extra; they just have to come to our booth. But I hope that they respect the fact that, oh, you didn't pay for a meet and greet. And so if you go and you meet Disasterina, don't expect her to just sign your stuff and give you a hug for free. Like, please,
Fucking
Mm-hmm.
buy
yeah,
something.
please buy
Right.
something from us.
Don't just get a
Mm-hmm.
signature on
Because,
your ass, okay?
yeah, because if you're willing to spend, 50
Buy
bucks or
buy a fucking
something
postcard, okay? It's not
on
that
a,
much. It's
on a
five
meet
Mm-hmm.
dollars.
on a meet and greet, if you go into this to convention and you get to meet Disasterina, and she like has a conversation with you and gives you a hug and signs whatever for you, it is a bit of a heartbreak for you to walk away and not buy anything because she has things
Yeah.
that are $10.
Yeah, support my
So
art. Support my life.
show your
Jeez.
respect for her
Support
time.
my landlord.
All right. Yes. Especially because like when you go to like DragCon, for example, you have to spend a minimum of $60 just to go say hi and get a picture.
Yeah,
And you're
And
not
by the
even asking
way,
for all that.
exactly.
when we used to vend at DragCon, we never charged anybody a fucking penny, okay? So RuPaul, all you RuPaul queens getting your $60, $50, whatever thing, you're a bunch of losers because
Don't say
we
that.
did it for free.
We were just happy that people wanted to meet Disasterina and would get all excited.
Hmm.
And so, but that time is a past because
Yeah.
now there's so many people that if she's just spending her time giving hugs and talking to people and there's like a whole line, it is really a disrespect for her not to even make a single cent on that.
Right, for sure.
So,
Support your artists,
yes,
everybody. It's not just a free picture.
totally.
Well, thanks again for coming on. So make sure you check out both of their amazing content on Out TV. I think you can, everything you guys have is on
Yep.
Out TV
But
currently
you can
and
also
YouTube.
get it on other platforms
Right.
Yeah.
So other
like
platforms,
Amazon
YouTube,
Prime.
hmm so I highly recommend Sado Psychiatrist, which one, My Drug is Valid. They're all super good, and stay tuned for their future projects and Disasterina on Titan season 2, and hopefully Sleazy Manzini on King of Drag season
Fingers
2.
crossed.